Would you like to introduce yourself?
Right, yes. My name's Barry Allen. I'm the assistant site manager to Danny Bramwell, who is the site manager at Washwood Heath Academy.
And how long have you worked here for Washwood Heath Academy?
I haven't worked here that long, it's only just about 2 years, but I've been in the role for 13 years at previous school.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the job quite well.
In Birmingham or outside?
Yes, not too far from where I live, in Erdington area, for a primary school rather than a secondary school. This is my first secondary school, but it's okay.
And what are the differences that you would say between a primary and a secondary in relation to your job role?
It's a little bit harder with the secondary children because obviously they're bigger children. There's more of them. There was only I think it was 200 children at my old school, okay, where there's like I think it's about 1,800 there. So in that respect, there's you have to wait for people to come off the corridors before you can do things. And be more mindful of leaving tools around with the older kids. The younger kids, don't tend to play with the tools so much. They just watch what you're doing. So in that respect, that's probably the biggest difference.
Okay. What main strengths do you need to carry out your role?
Well, obviously you need basic DIY skills just to do the maintenance side of the job. You need to be able to communicate to other people, parents, staff. Obviously I'm a supervisor, so I need to relate any kind of jobs that need doing down to the other supervisors that I work with as part of the team. That's mainly it. IT skills a little bit, because you have to send emails, liaise with contractors, and obviously book contract work in, so you have to know school holidays and dates that you can actually book those workmen in to do their jobs.
So when you talk about maintenance, can you tell me a bit more about maintenance to an audience that wouldn't know what maintenance means?
A lot of the maintenance is preventative, like oiling the doors, making sure the locks are working. Okay. And we do daily, weekly and monthly checks of like fire doors, fire extinguishers. We do fire alarm checks. With the new build over at the primary, there's a sprinkler system, so we have to check that weekly. So that's basically preventative more than anything. But if certain jobs arise that we might have a flood, you've got to know where the stop water taps are, so you can turn the water off to repair the job. And if you can't repair a job, then you have to know who to get in touch with. Like our facilities is 3D at the moment. We found them and they send somebody out to help us with whatever jobs we can't do.
Okay. You said you just touched upon using IT. Yeah. How heavily do you use IT, and do you rely on IT to do your job?
Probably a little bit more in the secondary school than I ever did in the primary. Because like I say, the primary was a smaller school. It was more verbal instructions, but a lot of the instructions we have now are through email, off staff, off Danny if he's not here, who's my site manager, and Sam as myself. If I've got to rely anything to the other supervisors, normally by email, because that's the paper trail. You've got a trail of whatever you've asked them to do that needs doing. So yeah.
What do you mean by paper trail?
As in accountability. If I've asked somebody to do something and it hasn't got done, I need to know that, or need to let other people know that I've actually asked them to do that type of job. So if they haven't done it, I can turn around and say, well, I've sent you the email, and it's there written down for somebody to look at to say, well, yes, you've sent the email, why haven't you done that job?
Right. Okay. What skills do you need for this particular role?
Again, touching on what we've already spoke about, basic DIY skills, a little bit of IT because of sending emails and stuff like that. Good communication skills. You need to be able to talk to staff, parents, contractors, and the team, whatever team you're working with at the time. Working with that team, you need to be relaying what you need them to do.
And how important is that to relay the correct information?
100%, because if you're not relaying the right information to them to do their job, they can't do their job properly. And then again, accountability. They're coming back to you and saying, well, that's what I was told to do. And if it's wrong, obviously, I've given them that information. That book stops with me, and then obviously we go from there, whatever my manager and his manager want to do after that.
So would there be any financial implications from that? And
again,
if so, what could they possibly
I was
be?
to say again, yeah. If I've asked them to do a job and they've had to order parts in and it's the wrong parts because I've told them it's the wrong job to do, obviously it's the cost to the estate, and obviously it comes out of whatever budget, as will be the site team budget. It'll come out of the site team budget, which means there's less money to go on to anything else we need to buy.
So communication is really key.
Definitely, 100%.
Is your job stressful?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, everybody's got stress in the job.
And how do you handle it?
Well, you try to talk to your team. If you've got a lot of stress, you talk to your line manager and talk to your team colleagues. Talk to other members of the staff if you need to, but try not to take it home.
Right.
Work is work, and you leave it at work. Sometimes you can't, obviously, because you're time to getting phone calls and whatever else. But you try to deal with it as best you can.
Do you have to make difficult decisions?
Again, with the job I'm in at the moment, obviously I'm covering the site manager. If he's not here, yes. But normally, if there's any big decisions to make, I'll relate to my line manager, and he'll do what his side of the job, pass it back down to me, and I'll pass it back down to the supervisors if need to.
And do you have to work under pressure?
Oh, all the time, every day. Deadlines, time-wise. Like I said earlier about the secondary school being more children, we've got to work to timelines because of obviously breaks. If the job's something in classrooms, we can't do a job in a classroom if the children are in there. We have to wait for them to come out. Then there's a deadline to get that job done before they all need to come back. So yeah, it's all pressure.
So time really dictates your timetable, so to speak.
Definitely, more so for us as site staff. Well, yeah. I'm not too sure about teaching staff because I don't know that side, but like time is is the biggest part of our job.
Okay, and do you need any particular qualifications to carry out this role?
I'm not too sure about that one. Obviously I went to school and I did all my exams, which helped me get the job to start with. So in that respect, yes, because if you've got no education, somebody's going to look at you and think, well, I can't have that person. I'll have the other person that's got exams and qualifications. They don't need to be O level, or should I don't know if I should say that.
Yeah.
But the best you can do is you do your best. And that should suffice.
And do you still have to study now just to keep on top?
Yeah, we still do on-job training. That's where IT comes in again. Sometimes we do online training. Obviously, we have to go out to do training as well. So you need your education to do the training. So yeah, you do need education 100%.
So it's ongoing, the training.
All the time, yeah.
Okay. Did you have experience of this job before? You said you had because you'd worked in a primary school.
Yeah.
And prior to that?
Well, I've been lucky. Every job I've had, I've been a supervisor. So the transition from a factory to a school wasn't that much different. Obviously, the environment was different, but the actual job side of it was, as far as delegating jobs or working on my own initiative to do jobs on my own, it's the same thing. So it wasn't that hard.
Do you think you have to adapt to different areas, and you have to adapt as an individual to fit in to this environment, to carry out different roles? So, for example, if you're doing one role in one particular area, you've then got to pick something else up just in case.
It's not too bad because as a site team, if there's any part that we can't do as a full team, obviously there's people we can go and ask, and then they'll come in. The estates managers or even Danny as the site manager will come in and help out. But no, I think it's quite easy to adapt different areas because it's virtually all the same. But it's just like I say, in just different areas.
Okay. What are the benefits of your role?
Well, the role I'm in at the moment, obviously, more money.
Okay.
I'm like everybody else. I've got bills and a mortgage to pay. So yeah, obviously, the better education you get, the further up the ladder you go, the more money you earn. So obviously, your lifestyle goes a little bit easier, doesn't it?
And what kind of hours do you do?
There is, at the moment, we're on quite good hours. At the moment, I'm doing 6 till 2, which is the morning shift, obviously. There is an afternoon shift, which is 11 till 7. But we do unsociable hours sometimes. We have to come in Saturdays. if there's lettings for the footballs and stuff like that. Alarm call outs could be coming out at 2 o'clock in the morning if the alarm goes off. But that's part and parcel of the job. It's not too bad. It's not all the time either, so it's okay.
Did you always want to be a site supervisor when you were growing up, or was this just accidental and circumstantial?
It was one of those jobs that just happened to come up at the time, at the right time I needed to change my job from my previous school. Like I say, I was at my last job for 10 years. I sort of did pick that job because I worked in a steel mill for 16 years before that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get out, because of the environment that I was working in. But like I say, I was a supervisor, so I actually picked the supervisor role up for the primary school. So I probably did pick this job, but I always said I'd never work in a secondary because of the older kids are a little bit more cheeky and that. But this school is a really good school. I like working in it, it's nice.
Okay. And if there was a young person who wanted to do a site role, what advice would you give them?
If they could do it in school as a, I can't remember what you call it,
apprentice,
like an apprentice, or even work experience when they come into the site office, if they can come in and do that. If that's the type of thing they want to go into, it'll give them an insight to what they have got to do. But if that's the type of thing you want to go for it, try it.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
thank you.